So I'm going to welcome on screen, you can see we have one of our panelists here. I'm going to welcome our moderator first. He is the founder and online strategist of OpenMinds Resources. Let's welcome Jen. Hi, Jen. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Laureen. Yes, nice to see you again.
You're looking good. I haven't seen you in a while.
Been almost a year, I think.
Yeah, and I have to compliment your setup. I actually follow him on Facebook for everyone who's wondering what's going on. And he's got this amazing setup that we can't see right now. As you can see, he's got his wonderful background going on. He's actually got ring lights at the side. So I'd like to compliment you on that. And I know you've been really busy. And thank you so much for joining us here today and being our moderator for this panel discussion.
Huge pleasure.
Okay. Now, on screen with us, we have the man of the hour, the guy behind Exabytes. He's the CEO and founder of Exabytes. Let's give a warm welcome to Siak. Hi.
Hi, good morning, Lauren. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Hi, Chan.
I see you have a ring light too. I can see it reflected in your glasses as well.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay, so our panelists, we're also going to invite the co-founder and CEO of Antsomi. Let's welcome Serm Teck Choon.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Hi. Is my video?
Are you here? I think you are.
Can my video be?
Right now, we're ready for you. Join our thing. Yeah.
Hi,
okay.
Rolene.
Now
Hi.
we can see your video. Yes.
Hi. Sorry for the technical problems. Hi. Good morning. This is Serm from Antsomi. Good morning, everyone.
It's all right. Don't worry about the technical issue. We've had plenty today, so it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, that happened to all the webinar.
Yeah, but welcome once again to the SME Digital Fest 3.0. Thank you for being on board with us. And our final panelist for today is the Director of the Business Digital Adoption from MDEC. Please welcome, this is actually a very complicated name. I'm going to try to not butcher it. Please welcome Muhundhan Kamarapullai. I believe I can call him Muhu. Someone told me I can call him Muhu. Hi.
Hi, Lauren. Yes, you can
Hello.
call. And you did my name. You pronounced it perfectly. Thank you so much.
Oh, that is such a relief because I'm going through the notes yesterday, so I need to pronounce his name correctly. But thank you so much. All right, so Jen, I'm just going to leave it to you because I'm pretty sure you know what to do already. So take it away. And to the rest of you, once again, if you have any questions, leave them in the Q&A box and we'll get right back to you.
Thank you, Laureen. All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in your next 1 hour with us. I know it's right before lunchtime. It's the most tricky part of the day, right? It's 1 hour before. Should I stay? Should I not stay? Let me guarantee you should stay because this particular session is going to be very practical. It's going to be very engaging. We have a good panel of speakers over here with plenty to share with you now. Before I get them to introduce themselves, if you can hear us still fine, maybe you can just say hello to the panelists via the chat, right? Just say hello, just say hi, just say good morning, whatever that you want, just so that we know that you're still there with us, you're still here listening so that we know everything is good. Great, I see the hellos coming in, means all is fine. Good morning to you guys, panelists. Thank you so much for spending your next 40 minutes with us as well. Now, I wouldn't go through all of your profiles because they're all amazing and it's a huge long list of them, but I'll give you some time, right? Maybe just 1-2 minutes for each and every one of you to just briefly introduce yourself before we start going into today's session. Is that good? Yeah? Maybe let's start off with Chan from Exabytes.
Sure. Hi, Jen. Once again, thanks for helping us moderating this panel discussion, and a big thank you to all the panelists here. My name is Chan. I'm the founder and CEO of Exabytes. Exabytes established since almost 20 years ago when I was 19 years old, with the goal to actually help SME to grow their business online. So today, our products and offering actually cover various hosting and also digital solutions, like for example, website, e-commerce, CRM, like my colleague introduced just now. And today, we also do a lot of webinars with the aim to help educate and also empower more SMEs to embark on their digital journey. Back to you, Jen.
Great. Thank you so much for the quick introduction. Serm, why don't you take us through what you do?
Hi, I'm Serm. I'm co-founder and CEO of Antsomi. We are a marketing technology company regionally in having office in Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia. We aim to help our customer by unifying and activating their data with our software that we just launched in June 2020. I was also formerly the president of Malaysian Digital Association, which normally people know as MDEC. It is an association formed for digital advertising and digital media in the year of 2009.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think we can learn a lot from you, especially from a data perspective today.
Yep.
Last but not least, Muhu.
Hi, Jen and panelists, and hi, everyone. So I represent the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, which is a government agency that is mandated to drive the digital economy. We basically focus on three things. We help empower Malaysians to upskill themselves in the digital space. Second is we also help accelerate businesses in digitalization. That's where I come from. And the third one is, of course, we also help to bring in investment when it comes to digital. My primary role is actually to help Malaysian companies to embrace digital. We have quite a number of programs as well as certain funds, incentives that we put together to see how we can help. I would love to share some of them later. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. As you can see, for those of you that are tuning in, we have 150 of you guys. As you can see, all of us here are here to help. If you listen to all of the introductions, everybody has different initiatives, different help, different tools available for all of you that are tuning in. So your next 40 minutes is going to be extremely valuable. I'm your moderator, Jen Wong. I'm the founder and CEO of OpenMinds. We are a marketing technology company based in Malaysia, Singapore, and Hong Kong. We've been around for 8 years, helping companies understand technology and bringing them to be transformed in the next digital phase. But you're here listening not so much about who we are, but what we want to talk about in this morning's topic on digital transformation, right? So you see that this whole topic on digital transformation has been pretty much a buzzword in the recent months, especially the past 3 months. I think every webinar you go to, there will be some speaker, somebody up there talking about digital transformation. Everyone is preaching about it. And it's true, it's very, very important, right? I think this pandemic has shown us that digital transformation is non-negligible. No matter you're micro or you're a small, medium business enterprise, you need to embark on this journey. But what we want to talk about this morning is what's next, right? Yeah, I know digital transformation is important, but what's next? How do I get started? What is the first step that I can put on? And basically, what can I really do? So let's jump straight to the first question that we have. And for those of you who are listening, if any questions throughout the session, please use the Q&A or leave in the chat. I'll pick it up and I'll post it to the panel as we see fit, all right? But first question, maybe I'll directly to Mr. Muhu first, all right? Now, we understand that digital transformation is not an easy task at all. It's more than just installing a tool, subscribing to something cool, and then, you know, your business is automatically business transformed. But what do you say the biggest challenge for businesses are when it comes to digital transformation?
Yeah, sure, Jen. I think, you know, based on the years of experience working with over thousands of SMEs and companies, we found there are several things that businesses would need to realize. Yeah, as you rightly put it, it's not about buying cool gadgets or stuff, systems that can hopefully help you, but rather to understand, first off, it's that what are the key things that you can get. To simplify it, it has to be a business impact, right? And we look at it as, can it make things faster, cheaper, or better? If we can do one of these things, then it makes a lot of sense. And if I can, you know, sort of explain that a little bit more, digital transformation, or we would rather just call it digital adoption, right, to simplify, should help in certain things. For example, can it help to streamline your workflow, right? Can it reduce costs? Can it automate some of your processes so you probably don't need as many people that you require now? Can it ultimately improve your revenue? And finally, the most important thing as well, help you engage your customers and employees. So ultimately, this is digital transformation without having a clear understanding of an outcome that you want to reap out of this. So to us, technology is just something which enables you to achieve some of these things. So this is really important to have that mindset to start. And just to add on a little bit more, as you rightly put it, a lot of discussions, a lot of terms, jargons thrown in. And especially for businesses, this may not make sense. But the ultimate thing is you also have to differentiate between what we call the digitization and digitalization. Yeah, that's also a lot of, I always love to share this, that we have to be able to understand that digital transformation is a journey. Therefore, you can't just start off with something really complicated and then try to figure out whether it should be a step by step. So digitization basically means changing analog to digital, right? As simple as having whatever that's written, perhaps your logbooks and whatever not, into as simple as an Excel sheet. Yeah, that's already a form of productivity improvement. Digitalization, the other part, talks about the way you do business. It is a different business model that you can now explore through this digital transformation journey. Given an example is if you've not gone on e-commerce, and that's a completely different business model because that's going to impact the way you interact with your customers, the way you push your products and services, and even how you transact. So this is really important. To sum it up, take a step by step, look at it not from a jargon technology, look at it from a business impact. It makes more sense for you. Thank you.
So true, so true. I think there's a huge difference between just transforming and adopting it as part of the business operations, right? I like how you break it down to say that it's as simple as just really just using Excel or digitizing or automating certain things to optimize certain processes. That alone could already be your first step towards digital transformation. It needs to be something big, right? But Chan, I think Exabytes have been really helping businesses, especially in Malaysia and Singapore, get started, in the whole digitization. You have a lot of courses, you have tools to help businesses as well. Maybe you have a more on-ground perspective towards what's happening, what's the biggest challenge of all these businesses facing right now.
Yes, first of all, I very agree with Muhu. I think what he said is absolutely the correct approach. We always encourage our customers, right, most of them SMEs, to actually take baby steps, at one time. You try to look at it, right? The digital transformation sometimes like learning how to swim. When you look at the pool, you feel scared if you don't know how to swim, right? But you need to somehow jump into the water and start to learn how to swim, right? But of course, you don't immediately straight away the first time jump into the big ocean, right? So same thing, right? For digital marketing or digital transformation, we always encourage our customers to start with the basic. Once you start using it, you see the benefits and you start to let go all the fears, right? Like for example, the past few months, we saw a lot of traditional retailers, businesses, they actually wanted to embark e-commerce, right? But a lot of them, they, as much as they wanted to do e-commerce, but they think too complicated, they're too complex, right? They want to run their e-commerce, even if it's their first e-commerce project, immediately they always want to run it like, the Alibaba scale, the Taobao scale. We told them, come on, please, one step at a time, right? Start with a basic online stores, get your team warm up, mobilize, familiar with the flows. Then from there, you accumulate some experience. You know how the market works. You know how the internet industry works. You know how the e-commerce actually transact. Then only you decide how you want to invest in the second phase. No difference from other digital adoptions, right? For example, you don't straight away, without using any digital tools in the past, or even without any website in the past, you straight away jump to SAP or jump to Oracle. You don't do that, right? You probably start with a basic website, then the corporate email. You start to advertise a little bit on Google, Facebook. Then slowly you implement CRM. You implement some other tools that could make sense and helpful, right? So take one baby step at a time. And I think the good news is for those of us in Malaysia, our government are really, really supportive. For 2020, there's a huge budget that is already put in to support the SME to adopt the digital transformation, right? This year, any qualified SMEs who wanted to embark into digital transformation, they can actually claim up to 5,000 from government grants. It's not a lot, but I think it's perfectly just nice for most of the SMEs to get themselves get started and start to warm out the process. Start with one or two basic tools. That will be really, really helpful. And as Muhu said, aim, what is the business outcome you want to achieve? How can that benefit your business? It's not so much about, hey, my competitor is transforming, I also need to do that. It's absolutely not that. It's about how digital marketing or how digital transformation or how e-commerce can help you empower your business so that you can be more efficient or you have additional channel or resources of revenue generations. Back to you, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you. I like your last example, right? When you look at competitors, just keep installing new software. Someone puts pressure and then it makes it seem as though you need to do it as well. But the truth is you really, really don't, right? I mean, Serm, I'm sure you've worked with many businesses as well. And I think this morning's theme is established very right. We are talking about step-by-step implementation, incremental, right? I think that's one of the main keywords so far. Why do you think companies these days struggle with this incremental approach? Chan talked about, I want to be Alibaba, I want to be Taobao. They jump straight to the end. But why do you think this is something where a lot of business owners struggle with. When they talk about digitization, they always think about the far end and not about this incremental approach I've been talking about this morning.
I think Muhundhan and Chan has given a very good example in terms of the business outcome and also step by step. But at the same time, I think businesses really need to take a step back and realize that digital transformation at the end of the day is all about for your people, right? So it should be people-centric, and you need to have the right team to execute it, to drive the digital transformation. And the team need to know not only the what to do and how to do and why you need to do this. I think the why of the digital transformation is one of the largest challenge many companies are facing now. That, hey, are we talking about digital transformation because everyone is talking about transformations? Or are we really want to do something to transform the company into something that we wish to become? I think that mindset is the key issue of today, and businesses need to address it accordingly.
I like you that you brought out the people aspect and the team aspect, right? Which leads me to my next question, actually. Since you talk about people and team, who do you think in an organization actually plays the most important role in championing some of these digital transformation processes? You know, because sometimes the boss somehow attends a seminar somewhere, right? Comes back and say, hey, have you heard about this tool? He's so excited, right? But oftentimes he doesn't champion it. He's excited, but he does not champion it. So in your experience, who do you think an organization plays the most important role in making sure that this process is well moderated, it's well implemented, and everybody gets it? Who is the most important person here within the organization?
I personally think it has to start with someone in the leadership team, especially the C-level. Today we are talking about company or businesses have chief technology officer. We talk about chief transformation officer. We talk about chief digital officer. I think at least not only the owner, the C-level, like all these CTO, and CTO need to be the key driver of the digital transformation. And also CMO is also playing a very important role, because marketing play a very important role in digital transformation in terms of customer experience. And after this C-level, then you have to cascade this to all your team members, understanding what we talked about just now of not only what to do, how to do, but also why you want to do this. I think that would be the crucial team structure to drive the digital transformations.
I fully agree with Serm. I think in the past, right, we saw a greater success if that initiative and that strong desire is actually from top down. That means the top leadership, right? They strongly want to transform or digitalize the organizations. Then that's where they set a clear directions target. Then they also cascade it down and mobilize the team to execute it. But if a lot of time is only from bottom up, right? You know, normally that desire just disappeared in between. It's difficult to convince the top, right? But if the top who actually been inspired and they saw the real strong desire to do the transformation, then we can see the execution is actually very, very smooth.
Just to add on what Chan mentioned here, because digital transformation is always related to the company vision and company missions, of which the owner of the company vision and company vision is always the owner and the leadership team. Hence, the leadership team should be the one who drive it and cascade it to the team.
Just to add on a little,
so true,
if I may. Also based on the experiences of working with some of the companies, one thing we realized, whichever way it is, I agree with Serm and Chan, it is actually the top leadership that needs to play a crucial role. But the other thing also is that it should be driven by the business side of the organization. That's really important. Of course, I think we've seen some of the CIOs, the tech teams who have also done a fantastic job, but without the appreciation of going digital from the business teams, business part, it seems to be a much more uphill task for the organization. The other thing is for SMEs, for example, many of the SMEs in Malaysia, they don't have a specific CIO or somebody who really focuses. We know that very well, right? It's always on, people with double hat or triple hat are looking at this. So in this aspect, it's important for an organization not to be so worried to not have such technical expertise, but this is where you leverage on all the partners within the ecosystem that are available, right? People like Exabytes and all this will be able to help you to take you to the structured approach. Without it, it's really daunting. And a lot of feedback I get is that when the bosses, the owners, they want to go into digital, the first thing they think about is, are my lieutenants ready for this? Right? And most likely the technology side of it would not be there. But I would say don't worry about it. There's always support from the ecosystem to move forward.
That's a good one. I'm just to ask you a follow-up question on that with a slight spin, right? So we've been talking a lot about just small businesses or businesses in general. Do you think, Muhu, in your experience in consulting or working with so many tech-based companies, that tech companies are automatically more inclined towards digital transformation? Do you think that's true? Or do you think that the struggle is actually quite equal? It does not matter regarding industries or whether you are technology-driven or not?
Okay, I think tech companies by nature, they need to survive. And they understand that technology changes in a split second. So I think by nature, they're already going towards that, right? Whether they want to look at technology, going cloud, whatever. And I think that's already happening. But when you look at the traditional businesses, this is not their core business. And therefore they struggle. But the good thing is that the technology companies today have also changed their model. It's no longer about me trying to sell my product, but rather how can I help you, right, as clients, to go through the journey. And I think I kind of like that. And for example, as John mentioned just now, under the SME Business Digitalization Grant, right, which led by BSN and supported by MDEC. MDEC actually looks at all these technology companies, the SI companies, the service providers, and we have a conversation with them. And the first thing we ask is, or even what we hear is that, how can we help the traditional businesses? What are the things that we can do? So I think that's really crucial. I'm not so worried about the tech companies. They have to do it, otherwise they will die. But it's a completely different story when it comes to the traditional businesses.
That's a very, very good point. Now, since you're talking about rolling out tech and all this right now, right? Maybe Serm, you can also share just a bit of experience in terms of processes, right? If I am nothing right now and I've been hearing so much about digital transformation, is there some sort of a success methodology or process or strategy that I can get started with? How do I put my first step into the pool, like the analogy that Chan and Muhu actually mentioned just now? What do you think?
Okay, I think fundamentally, the most important thing is defining your goal. Okay, defining your goal in the journey of these digital transformations. What to define your goal means, what do you want to become after the digital transformations? I give you an example. Netflix, we are all familiar with Netflix, right? It was a company founded in the year of 1997 as a DVD rental service with mail order and delivery. That's all, DVD service. But in 2007, the founder and the CEO decided to transform the company into still a video company, but video streaming company, right? So it's a streaming company transformed from DVD delivery into internet streaming delivery services. So I think that by then, digital transformation is still not a sexy word or whatsoever, or not even people talk about it. But I like to give this example is because when we think about Netflix as an internet company, we never think about Netflix is a great example of how to go through a digital transformation. The content is still the core. It's how they leverage on technology and digital to deliver the content, and hence they become who they are today. After you define your goal, I think the three key success factors are something you need to pay attention to. The first one is what we discussed just now, which is people. You need to have the right team to drive the digital transformation, the right team with the right mindset, and the right team who know why you need to do this. Secondly, would be the technology. Not only implementing the technology, not only implementing the IT infrastructure, but how to use technology and digital to solve the identified problem efficiently and effectively. Lastly, I think would be data, right? We all talk about data is a new oil, data is a new currency in 21st century. I think when we talk about digital transformation, it's all about customer experience. Start with customer, end with customer, use the data to drive the insight that you understand your customer well, know what they want, have a 360-degree view of your customer, and then create a great customer experience for your customer. That will be the framework for me to talk about digital transformations.
I really like where this is going. So you're bringing out tools, you're bringing out processes, you're bringing out data. In fact, I would like to follow up with a question from the attendees today, right? And I'm going to direct this to Chan, because this is going to be a question regarding budget. You know, data. I think Exabytes has a lot of services, a lot of products. It's been a game for a very long time. And I'm sure you have feedback from customers and all coming back, right? To how do I even justify the budget on digital innovation? You know, if I'm going to go on web hosting, I'm going to go on e-commerce, how do I measure? What are the metrics for ROI as a business if I invest into these digital tools?
Right. In marketing, digital marketing industry, of course, we have these terms called ROAS, right? The revenue versus your ad spend. So there's one way to measure your investment into digital marketing. But how about if you investing in other non-marketing, for example, you're implementing some digital tools and cloud services? What would be the general guideline? How you measure, the effectiveness and all that? So for me, I would say, right, before I jump into answering that question, I just want to do a bit of extension with what Serm just highlighted. Basically, Serm highlighted number one is people. People, I think, is a leadership, then the one who execute it, right? Then the technology and the data, right? So I just want to add two more things. The fourth one is actually the expectation, right? What you actually want to define as a goal and how you want to expect that to happen, within what kind of time, within what kind of budget. A lot of time we saw a lot of projects actually end up being halted or being so-called closed or failed because of the expectation is not set correctly. In many cases, a lot of businesses, they have a wrong expectation. For example, traditionally, they only do retails, right? Then suddenly they jump into e-commerce. They were having the expectation that the moment I switch on my online store, I'll become the next, online Amazon, right? Or they never done any online advertising before. The moment they invested in a digital marketing, they expect that tomorrow their orders will be like, 5 digits, 6 digits, right? Or they expect that the moment they implement the cloud payroll, for example, the payroll and salary, everything will be taken care of, right? So unfortunately, that's not in this case as much as we wanted to. Maybe 20, 30 years later, it might be possible with a strong AI and all that. But I think based on today's technology world, that still, unfortunately, it's not happening yet, right? We need to set the expectation as if it takes a while to actually implement and also derive the result, right? For example, you do advertising. It doesn't mean, right, you run a campaign for 1 week, then immediately, you see the conversion, you see the traffic spiking up. It doesn't work that way. Usually, it will take probably a couple of weeks to actually warm up the process. Then you do the review, then you optimize, then you fine-tuning. Same thing for any kind of digital tools implementation, for example, CRM, payroll and all that. It probably will take you 1-2 months to actually implement in the organizations, then convince the business team to actually use it, right? And the hardest part is actually to change their habits. I give you an example. Like let's say you have a HR team have been using the Excel to do your payroll for the past 10, 20 years. Suddenly you want to say, hey, let's do a cloud-based payroll system, right? It's actually not easy. They'll tell you, hey, my setting, my configuration, everything is there. So it will actually take a long time to convince them. Okay, so I think expectation is crucial. And the last thing is actually patient, right? Again, technology is not the super magic, right? It's not superpower. You need to be patient and cope with the other 4 elements. So back to the budget versus expectation. I would say for me, at least my own organization, I'll look at it, right? If within the first year of implementation, I can break even, right? I would think that is a good success already. For instance, let's say I spent 20,000 implementing a cloud-based HR payroll systems, right? If within the first year, I can actually save my operation cost by 20,000 or increase my efficiency by 20,000 for the first year, I think I'm happy already, right? Because in many cases, it's where you actually spend the IT budget and nothing, the needle not even been moved, right?
That's true.
Yeah, so once the first year I can get the break even in terms of spend versus the returns, then I think the second year, third year, you probably can see 5 times, 10 times of the returns. I think more importantly is for any kind of digital adoption, it's not just strictly on the ROI, but also about the scalability, right? I think some quoted the Netflix example. Uh, Early days, Netflix, they actually courier out, deliver out the DVDs, right? That's okay. And in fact, that time, using that model, e-commerce is already very advanced already, right? But what they realize, right, courier out the DVDs is good, but it's not scalable, right? Every time you have to like have that physical thing, you have to ship, the customer have to return and all that, right? So they transform to the next level, which is digital streaming, because that's the only way that it can scale, right? And today, I think the answer is quite clear. Netflix is everywhere in every corner of the world.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Still on the topic on budget, Muhu, I mean, just wanted to pick your brain as well. I mean, when it comes to digital transformation, it has always been seen as a very budget-intensive kind of exercise, right? So given a small business with limited budget or even no budget at all, is there even room for them to transform themselves? Or even better, is there even room for them to compete in this season where there are so many other players out there also trying to go through the same process?
Yeah, sure, Jan. Just to pick up on what Chan and Serm has also indicated just now, that it's always in the minds of most of the companies that I have to spend a lot, right? It has to be big. Now, actually, what has to be big is the way you think about digitalization. We always see that you got to start big, thinking big, think big, start small, and scale fast. And that is also very relevant to what Chan was saying just now. You got to think big in terms of you have to understand what is the outcome you're trying to achieve, right? If I can give you an example, this is not on digital marketing, but actually a work that we did with one of the very well-known glove manufacturers in the country. Yeah. So this is a bit about manufacturing, but the mindset is the same, right? So having multiple lines, manufacturing at multiple lines to produce gloves, one of the key challenges was actually the chemical composition. Yeah? So if you don't get the composition right, within seconds you lose a few 100,000 gloves, right? Goes into the rubbish dustbin straight away, and that's a huge productivity problem for them. And the primary issue here was actually that everything was not consistent. Number one is that they have a lot of people doing it. They have a lot of foreign neighbors going in, trying to basically do the thing. They pick up the chemical composition. They go to the QA team. QA team looks at it. Okay, fine, and then go to manufacturing. Not fine, then the manufacturing side, on the factory floor will then make the changes, right? And they have to do this many times in a day. So what is the issue here? The issue is that if they go digital, they can, but they're going to spend a few 100 million just to automate the whole system, right? Now, at the back of the mind of the big bosses, this is not feasible. This is before COVID, so now they're doing quite well. So now is start small. So what the team did was fantastic, right? We worked with them and we got some solution providers to come in, is to identify one line first out of the 50 over lines they had. One line, get dedicated people who are working on that line to be part of the project, where the solution providers acted as a partner, and they start off with a target first. They say like they want to reduce 50% of the man hours that spend on this, right? It means technically they don't want the foreign workers to go and pick up the things lab, right? The QC lab, right? That's the target, and the team worked towards it. At the end, they achieved 67% within less than 3 months, right?
Wow.
And the data, and as like Serm was saying, the data was really good, because at the end of the day, what happened was the team that's working, the team, the manufacturing team, right, the production team, floor team, actually presented this to the big boss and said, look, sir, this is what we did with one line. Now, imagine if we do it with the 54 lines, right? Within X number of years, we can recoup the investment, right? The team actually showed the business owner in terms of the actual ROI from the small outcome. So guess what the big boss said? What are we waiting for? So this is really crucial, I think. Right? So the CIO that I was talking to actually nudged me and said, Muhu, I've been telling this for the past few years. So the question is, yes, you can say this for the past few years, but is it outcome oriented? So this is where budget comes in. You don't have to spend a lot of money to convince, right? You have to start small, and then scale fast. Yeah.
That's a very good point. Outcome-oriented, start small, scale fast. That's a tip for everybody that's listening in right now. That's something to take away as well. Now, I mean, you talk about outcome-oriented. I'm just going to follow up with a short question here because somebody's also asking, right? What are the key areas that a company or management should implement within a company to keep this desire for digital transformation going strong? Is it that outcome that you're talking about as well? Or do you think that there's more factors? When we hear from you, then after this, maybe Serm can chip in as well.
That's for me, Jan.
Yes, that's for you first.
Yeah, so I agree. I mean, it's outcome is one of the key things. I think Serm explained it very well as well, right? The people part, the technology, and then what data is going to do. But beyond just outcome can be daunting, to be honest, right? When we talk about outcome, it's such a complex, it can be a complex thing, right? Because it covers so many things. I mentioned just now, is it in terms of your marketing capability? Now you want to have some form of visibility online. So how we look at it, how we help some of the companies actually to look at it from what we call a digital journey, right? This is something based on what we worked on with many companies. We figure out that, hey, look, you can't just jump and put in some IoT sensors and think that things going to change in your company, right? Or you're just going to jump into big data analytics and hope that everything's going to be sunny the next day. It may, if your maturity, your maturity within the digital space is there. But if you don't have that maturity, then you got to look at it differently. So for us, we call it like the 5 bubbles, right? The 5 bubbles are very simple. First is digital presence. So like what you can do with Exabyte and all this, right? A digital presence is really important. If you're a typical traditional business, the first thing you want to do is to have an opportunity to expand your brand, expand your market products, right, on the digital space. So visibility is really important. Whether you're on social media, or you have a specific website, it's really crucial. Maybe most of you have it here, but I can tell you, Malaysia has got one of the lowest when it comes to, from traditional business, we've got one of the lowest in this region when it comes to having traditional businesses visibility online. Yeah, so that's interesting part. The second is that once you have this visibility, then you want to have some form of transaction online. This is where e-commerce comes in, right? The buy and sell, and there's a lot of work that's being done. And if you heard from Penjana recently, government actually announced a key project which is supported by MDEC in terms of helping you to go online, right? So there's a lot. Just check on the Penjana. Today there was just an announcement on how there's about 10 marketplaces out there who are actually working with the government to help you on board, right? With training, free training, and some of the other incentives, right? So that's one. The third one is, if you have figured this too, right, you probably would have already started seeing some form of sales or revenue in your business. And that's really crucial. That's what the business owners would want to see. I'm investing into this, like what Chan was saying, the ROI has to be within a year or less than a year, right? Because you're starting small. Once you see some of this, then you probably are willing to invest into a little bit more, which is the digital operation, for example, right? This is where, for example, if you have warehousing and you have other things, you probably need systems to be able to help you. And of course, today, this is where the grant comes in and helps as well. And of course, you can do it a lot more from a cloud-based kind of services where you don't actually have to spend a lot and just perhaps some subscription fee. The fourth bubble, after operation is digital process, which is actually all the back-end things that you need to work on, right? This is where you probably want to spend money and then expand your HR resources, your procurement and whatever not. And I think from our own experience, again, this is not a structured, you don't have to follow this exactly. You probably would have done some of this earlier, and it's not something which is a sequential, in a way, but actually some of the key things that you have to look at. And if you can do these 4 bubbles, then the emerging technologies, the stuff that's happening within the 4th industrial revolution, right? In terms of how do you maximize your profit comes, and you probably have a better appreciation of as well, because it's not just you as a business owner, you have also brought your people along the journey. And then now digital is no longer something additional. Digital becomes part and parcel of how you organize and run your business.
Sure. So what do you think about that? I mean, still on the topic of starting small and with the limited budget and the 5 bubbles that Muh was shared earlier. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I think to start small is very important. As the example, like what we talked about just now, in terms of when we start small, and then we need to have something like digital transformation roadmap, right? So the question posted just now is, how do you keep the desire to be maintained?
Yep.
And then the company still want to move forward with it. I think the digital transformation roadmap is very important for any organization to have. Say, for example, you set 1 year as a goal to achieve something. Every 3 months, review it accordingly. And quarterly, you will have a result to tell your team that, hey, what kind of percentage of increments the result we have achieved. I give you an example. I heard a small little company cannot be function at all during the MCO time because the accounting system just stored in a small little computer in the office. So even to pay the salary also is an issue, right? So to take this company as an example, the goal could be as simple as 1 year later, our company want to become a company with 100% cloud-based operations. So 3 months down the road, how can you move your accounting system to cloud-based? And then 3 months later, you review with your accountant and say, you know what, 3 months ago, you have this problem. And 3 months later, you can work anywhere and any place and anytime. So with this kind of incremental outcome, you impress your team member and make your team member feel that, hey, this is the power of digital transformation. You get their buy-in to become part of the team to drive the process. I think ultimately that would really keep the desire to be maintained and make everyone to be part of the digital transformation journey.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I think we're running out of time as well. So before we end, right, I'm sure the attendees are also very interested to hear how are all your organizations, or how you are being able to help these attendees here today. So, Serm, why don't you share with us, what are you doing right now in digital transformation and how can attendees benefit from you?
Okay, Antsomi is an AI-driven marketing technology company, of which we just launched our first product in June 2020. It's a customer data platform, which we know CDP, and the product name is CDP 365. When we talk about data is the core of digital transformations, we realize customer data is very important to all the businesses. So CDP 365 is the product that we aim to help businesses by unify all their data, all their customer data, and present it in a single dashboard, and then activate the data accordingly. And ultimately, businesses can provide an omni-channel customer experience to their customer, because that is one of the key angles of digital transformation. Omni-channel customer experience is very crucial for all the businesses to provide to their customer. That is how Antsomi would like to play a role in the digital transformation journey with all the businesses.
Nice. How about Chan, Exabytes? You're already doing a lot, but why don't you also share with us how you can help these people over here?
Right. I think our strength is always on the SME and also partly on the enterprises. So we have basically a very complete all-in-one solutions from web presence to digital tools like CRM, help desk, even up to digital marketing. Right. So I think even we are more than willing to actually share some experience, or else I will link up to the right partners who can help the SME to do the digital transformation. Yeah, so follow our SME Digital Fest and also follow our Facebook. From time to time, we have a lot of information, including some of the grants available, some of the latest technology innovations, some of the events out there that definitely can give a lot of insights to SME in helping them to do digital transformations.
Sure. How about you, Muhu? I think you just shared that MDEC just launched something very new, right? There are some grants available on there. So why don't you also share that with us? Muhu, I think you are muted. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay.
So, thanks, Jen. So I think a lot of things that the government is doing, particularly from MDEC's perspective, is actually to help businesses on board, right? To get them on board the digital journey. It's not so much about just the grants and incentive, because if you don't know what you want, or if you don't know how to do this, then all these grants and incentive are not going to make a lot of impact to you. So a lot of things that we do, basically, we have quite a bit of what we call onboarding programs, capacity development programs that companies can go on, right? I think what we want to help is actually first to help companies understand what are the pain points and opportunities out there when it comes to digital. So once you have figured that out, the second stage that we help you to also understand, how do you prioritize this? Right? You probably have 100 things that you want to do, and that itself can be very daunting. And then only comes all the different kind of incentives, because then you know what problem you're trying to solve, and then whether this is a key problem that you want to push now, and then how do you get support, whether it's from government or private sectors, technology companies who can come and help you out, right? So one of the things that I would strongly suggest is for companies actually to go, we have a simple website or Facebook account called 100 Go Digital. So 100 Go Digital is an initiative to excite and educate the SMEs when it comes to digital adoption. And then we actually plug in a lot of programs and incentives out there. So that's one thing that you can do immediately. If you go to our website, you can also see another thing called SME Digital Quick Win. So SME Digital Quick Win was a sort of a quick initiative that MDEC did, bringing in all the technology partners together during COVID-19. So we knew that a lot of businesses couldn't start. Operation was a big issue. So we actually brought in all these guys, and many of them are actually giving some good offers that you can tap into. I think my colleague will actually put in the links there. And then you can help yourself to explore first. I think that's really important. Once you explore, you know what you want, right? And the other thing is that, as you mentioned just now, yesterday evening, I think there was an announcement under the Penjana where now there's a specific support. You can go to go-e-commerce/Penjana. We'll share the link with you. And then you can actually go in and also see how you can, if you have not gone to e-commerce, right? What are the things that you can look at? So Go E-commerce is a site that you can also benefit from, similar to 100 Go Digital. And also just stay tuned, because under Penjana, there are also a few other initiatives that was announced. So now what is happening is the agencies responsible have crafted the mechanism, and soon we'll be announcing out to you. And there'll be one more on digital called the Smart Automation Grant. Smart Automation Grant is just not about automation. The grant is actually, we call it a smart grant, because it's actually coupled with programs, right? As I rightly mentioned just now, right? Coupled with programs, hand-holding programs with our partners, so you can come on board. And then the grant basically helps you to look at digitalization from many different angles, like people, process, and technology, 3 key things. This is also mainly open for the services industry. So those companies in F&B, logistics, retail could probably benefit from this, yeah. So ultimately, that's what we do. You can always contact us anytime at MDEC. We've got a client contact center that you can go in. Of course, Exabytes is also part of our partner who's supporting us on digitalization. These are some of the avenues that you have that we can immediately come and support you. Thank you.
Awesome, amazing. Thank you so much, 3 of you, Chan, Muhu, and Serm, for spending your past hour with us. You've shared so many great nuggets. To those that are listening, and I hope you manage to take home some of the key points. Remember the swimming pool analogy, that's my favorite. Remember people, tech, data, expectations, but most importantly, start small, be outcome-oriented, scale fast. I think it has been an amazing 1 hour. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. I'll pass the time back to Laureen.
And thank you, Jen. And I'm back here to be the thorn among the 4 roses over here. I think you guys did a fantastic job. It was very, very insightful. So thank you so much for being a part of SME Digital Fest 3.0. Jen, I think you did a fantastic job being a moderator. And to the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see all of you again soon. We're going to be adjourning for lunch. So yes, have a great week to the rest of you here. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
No problem. Anytime.
Thank you.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.